Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Security Space podcast. Today, as you can tell by the different setting, I'm actually on site at Yorkshire Water with Matthew Greaves, the Head of Cybersecurity and Protective Security.
That's correct, yep.
Matthew, what is that job title? I've heard Head of Cyber before, I've heard Head of Security, but I rarely hear Head of Protective Security as well. So could you just tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's relatively common in sort of critical national infrastructure type organisations where the cybersecurity, we call it protective security, that sort of covers everything from electronic security like access card systems, electromechanical locks, VSS or CCTV as we used to call it, physical locks, doors, security, fences, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And also the people security kind of sits underneath me as well.
Yep.
And kind of we look at it as a bit of a trio where kind of if you have a cyber incident, it can quickly become a physical security incident, potentially if you've lost sight of your cameras or your access card system, for example. Or a people security incident can quickly kind of escalate into either a physical issue, which can then become a cyber issue potentially as well.
So, like insider risk and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you can imagine, as an organisation, we've got lots and lots of assets, 650 plus kind of varying different sizes, but works across a fairly big geographical region that quite a lot of those have got network connectivity in, and we've got SCADA systems and operational technology that's working out there where kind of the physical security is really important to protect the cyber security.
Yeah.
And then making sure we've got real good control of who is actually able to access those assets is also critically important to us as well.
Just to give the audience a little bit of, I normally dive straight into the topic, but just to kind of give everyone a little bit of a flavour. Obviously, I've come on site here to speak with Matthew, and it was like breaking into Fort Knox. It really was. It was like, obviously, you've got sort of gates at the front, electronics. I felt like there was cameras on me at all times. I had to go through a turnstile and then I had to sign in, get a badge, and then that badge wasn't exactly up to date or something like that. So then that couldn't get me through. Just to get through and have a brew and have a chat with you, to be honest with you. And I thought, wow, this is all very relevant in terms of like what we're going to be speaking about today. And I suppose that segues perfectly as to the overarching angle, and I suppose we've kind of alluded to it. It is having a chat about the differentiation and the correlation between physical security, cybersecurity, operational technology, and how a lot of organisations fragment these silos when in essence they are very, very intrinsically connected, and it can actually be a business enabler, actually combining the three. So first question to you, Matt, is what do you sort of perceive as full spectrum end-to-end security then in your line of work?
Yeah, so we're kind of some of the technologies that we've got here you wouldn't typically find in sort of financial services or sort of retail type environments. So probably the kind of one of the critical bits of technology that we've got, which definitely forms part of that life cycle, is all of the operational technology and the industrial control systems that we have that are basically, for want of a better word, manufacturing the water that when you turn your tap on comes out of it. They're all controlled via SCADA or regional SCADA, and most of our sites don't necessarily, apart from the really big ones, don't have people based on them all the time. So they're run by machine from the centre here in the head office, which is where we are, which is one of the reasons why it might feel like there's an awful lot of security, but actually, we are running kind of the region's water supply network from this campus. So that's why kind of we've got those lots of layers of security here specifically. But kind of to go back to your question, the kind of crown jewels from a sort of cyber perspective is making sure that we can continue to provide safe water to people, and that you can, when you turn the tap on, you know that the water's going to come out of it and is going to be drinkable. So we've obviously got the operational technology and the industrial control systems that produce that, but they sit within a much wider ecosystem of all of the other systems that we use to make sure that we can get an engineer out to fix a leak
Yep.
at the right time and in the right place. And if those systems don't work, then we've got a workforce that don't know where to go or what their next jobs are.
Yep.
So that's obviously problematic. And then kind of the further ring around that is we need to be able to contact customers, and customers need to be able to contact us. Mm-hmm. And some of that is via the website, a lot of it is via our call centre. And of course, those essentially are just IT systems that are running that. So we kind of look at them, those things kind of almost in that order of kind of importance and priority. And then wrapped around all the way around the outside of it is the physical security on our sites to stop a physical type attack. And then we also have to make sure that the people that we've got that are working on some of these critical systems are, kind of the term we use is right and proper people to be working on that. So, some of our people have to go through sort of enhanced vetting procedures. They've got knowledge of potential vulnerabilities in critical national infrastructure. So, it's really important that we know who's got access to those systems and those places that are sensitive and could have an impact on the safety of the water. Or kind of if you look at the other end of the process, when you flush the loo, don't need that water anymore. We want to be able to return that safely back to the environment. And of course, all of that process is computerized as well. So whilst kind of if there's a problem with the water supply, that can be a very serious public health issue. Likewise, at the other end of the process, if we are, and we never want to be polluting, if we end up polluting and returning raw sewage back into the environment again, that can create environmental problems and also public health problems as well. So kind of that's the way we look at security from a sort of end-to-end
it's
perspective.
very quickly sort of a chain reaction occurs, doesn't it? And
I mean, we always in this business you always think worst case.
Of course, you've got to be when you're in security.
Basically our job as a security team is to make sure that when customers turn the taps on, they can rely on the water being safe for them to use. And when they flush the loo, that it disappears and is returned to the environment in a safe way for the environment. And kind of those are the kind of our principles, priorities, if you like. I mean, when people talk to us about cybersecurity at a water company, why? It's like, well, we have a series of 5 priorities. Priority 1 is to protect life. That's how we make decisions. Priority 2 is about protecting the environment. Priority 3 is about making sure that we can continue to operate. So getting people to the right place with the right bit of equipment to effect whatever repair or customer visit needs to happen. 4th priority is about making sure we're protecting PII, personal data, for both colleagues and obviously customers. We hold a lot of that. And then 5th priority is about making sure that we're complying with regulation. But in reality, if we're doing 1 through 4, 5 is you kind of get that for free.
Oh, it's really interesting, and because am I right in thinking the water industry it's been getting hit quite impactful over the last 18 months, maybe even longer? We're not isolated at all. We've heard about all of the attacks that have been going on in retail, particularly from sort of scattered spider. Those are often talked about, but you don't have to go very far back to a couple of incidents that have been happening across the water sector. A couple of water companies have been targeted themselves, either with ransomware or denial of service attacks. Very, very recently, some of those have been happening. And is it because of reasons that you said in terms of like critical national infrastructure, the ramifications of downtime? Let's talk about downtime in terms of you guys actually not being able to operate efficiently. That prioritization matrix that you've just mentioned there just collapses if you guys don't have a day of operating, and that's the risks. And therefore, ransomware groups like Scattered Spider might have a target on your back. I hope I'm not putting a target on your back, and say, look, we have a high chance that if we went for CNI, it might be a faster turnaround for our revenue, for example. Is that how it looks?
I think from a sort of adversary, the bad guys, whatever we want to call them, we try and stay away from threat actors and all sorts of stuff like that, because we want people to engage with us as cybersecurity team and professionals, and sometimes we can love a bit of jargon, and we try and demystify as much of that as possible. So it depends what set of bad guys you're looking at, I think.
Yes.
So some of them are financially motivated. May, this is a lot of this is anecdotal, but may choose not to target critical national infrastructure because that tends to bring down the might of perhaps government agencies.
Yes.
Colonial Pipeline's quite a good example of that. This is going back a few years now.
Okay.
But Colonial Pipeline's an oil pipeline in the US, and it basically goes up the entire east coast.
Okay.
And a group called CLOP decided to ransom them.
Yes.
Ransom was paid, and then a ransom was returned a little bit later, and there were all sorts of things that sort of happened which didn't really make an awful lot of sense unless some pressure was applied somewhere by government agencies in the background. So I think that's sort of been a bit of learning for some of the more financially motivated, that actually you might not want to poke that bear too much. You're much better focusing on sort of not critical national infrastructure, because you might not get the full wrath of the kind of country's machine. Having said that, though, you don't have to look very far to the sort of east to see a bit what's been going on with Russia and Ukraine. Both of them have been targeting the other's critical national infrastructure to great effect, kind of as either in the lead up to a kinetic type attack or just to cause disruption. So, it is a tool that is being used now and is kind of almost done before you get into a physical kind of shooting type conflict. So, so something that is on my mind a lot.
This is it. Cyber is so very much entrenched in the new form of wars. It absolutely is, and it will forever be now. And it's not new. The cyber's been part of it for the past sort of 20, 25 years, but just been growing in relevance. So to dial it a little bit away from geopol, just because I don't know how we went down that rabbit hole, but that's absolutely fine. So in terms of your role here at Yorkshire Water, blending cybersecurity, physical security, OT, people security, blending it all together, how do you find the time? Because even just your role looking after cyber is a full-time job. So how do you go about blending it all together? Yeah,
we've got lots going on, and I find it really fascinating. So from my perspective, I love the role. It's got a real good mix of big strategic, what are we going to do over the next 5 years to make sure that we're going to keep the bad guys out, we're going to be able to respond to threats. So kind of, malware and all that stuff is always evolving. But the other thing we have to consider as well is, hand tools, believe it or not, have evolved significantly, probably in the last 10 years with the advent of small battery-powered effective tools. Something that previously you'd have needed a massive still saw to get to. You can now go down Wix or wherever and get a tool that will get you through it in 2 minutes flat. So we're having to, be on the front foot with that kind of stuff. So thinking about that. So in the water industry, we operate on a 5-year planning cycle. So I've already started thinking about the planning cycle that we'll have to submit in 2029 for the 5 years after that.
Wow.
So kind of, I've got the big strategic stuff as, what do we need to do to stay abreast of the bad guys and what they're doing. There's then delivery of stuff. So as you can imagine, we spend quite a lot of money every year on cyber and physical security stuff.
Yes.
So we've got a project team that are delivering every day. We have a mantra of every day we want to be a little bit more secure than we were yesterday.
Yeah.
So project team delivering multi-million pounds worth of either physical stuff on the physical security side or computer related stuff on the cyber side.
Yes.
And then touch wood, not too often we've got the more exciting end of things when, you know, something does happen, we do get breached or we're under attack.
Yes.
And you kind of drop that, we're in incident mode now.
Yes.
So we kind of have that full spectrum of stuff, which, you know, there's always something to keep me and the team busy.
Of course.
And then kind of the way that the team is structured, I've got a team of broadly in 3.
Yes.
I've got a team of cyber experts.
Yes.
A team of cyber physical OT security experts. Basically, cyber physical is an IT system that has a real world effect.
Okay.
So it could be switching on a pump, could be opening or closing a valve, that kind of thing. That's what we call cyber physical.
Yeah.
So it's a real world thing that happens as a result of something that someone's done via computer.
Yes.
And then we have a physical secure, or the protective security team, which is all about the sort of electronic security, the gates, locks, access control for all of that kind of stuff. So broadly we work in those 3, but collectively we get together regularly to so if we think about it sort of from the top down, I don't have a cyber security strategy. What I have is a security strategy that looks at those 3 strands and brings them all together. So a really good example of that and how we get the synergy of having the team together is when we talk about PLCs, which are programmable logic controllers, which are kind of almost the lowest level of computerized device that we have on our water treatment plants, for example.
Yeah.
It's essentially a lump of plastic and circuit boards and doesn't have a monitor or anything, but we need to know who's accessed that piece of kit. Doesn't have access control on it. It's literally a dumb lump of plastic that you have to plug a cable in to be able to do something.
Yeah.
So what we've done is taken some of the learning from the physical security team and have rolled out our electromechanical keys and locking system to the cabinets that have got these in.
Yeah.
That basically means that you've got a physical key and it's a padlock that's on it.
Yes.
But that key is auditable. We know that it's assigned to and who it's assigned to, and we know which lock it has been opening. So actually, whilst we can't put access control onto the PLC itself, what we can do is have auditable access on the cabinet that it's in.
Yes.
And kind of the even better thing is we can basically put all of the locks that are on these cabinets into a special group and only allocate access to those locks for, say, our ICA technicians, industrial control and automation technicians.
I'm with you.
So even if you've got a key that will fit the lock, if you're not authorised to be in there, it still won't let you in.
Honestly, Matt, this is it just when you were speaking, then it takes back to really silly, just a James Bond film. A James Bond film where literally Q is saying like, okay, this gun, it's like it recognises James Bond's fingerprints when he's holding it. So I can't remember if it was Spectre. I can't remember. It doesn't really matter which one it were. But you can't fire it unless it was James Bond, and it just takes me directly to that.
Yeah, and kind of. We can, if we want to, go to just-in-time access, so nobody's got access.
Yes.
And then they can ring up, right, I mean, go through some verification processes, ring up, we can grant access, say, for an hour, and then that access is automatically revoked. Wow. So, you know, if it's a super sensitive place that somebody needs to go into, we can do that granularity of security control around it.
Speaking of blending this physical risk and this digital risk, what about literally? Are you in charge of sort of staffs to an extent? Are you in control of what staff, maybe even C-suite? Shall we angle it towards them? What they are putting out there on maybe their Instagram, their Twitter, their Facebook, their social lives that could, because like I say, when I came today, it was quite intense coming actually, like in a good way. It was like, wow, like this place is locked down. But obviously, you know, you can get CEOs putting out stuff that before we did this pod, we were making sure there was only some scribbles on there, but we were making sure, okay, well, you know, it doesn't need to go out there. And obviously, because that's front of mind for you, but for C-suite, security might not be front of mind, but they're putting risks out there. How do you even go about sorting that out?
So my team, there's about 30 of us.
Yep.
One of those 30, their job is solely around cyber and security communications.
All right, okay.
So we have a very active kind of internal security awareness kind of campaign and messaging. It's not perfect, it never ever will be. So we are always talking about security, and to pick up on your question about social media and things, we regularly do security, so we have monthly security awareness training. Some of it could be cyber, some of it could be physical, some of it's a bit of a mix. We've recently done a module that everybody has to do, which is about your footprint on social media, awareness about what you're putting out there. And we also work really closely with our both internal and external comms teams. For what we call security aware communications. So even this today is a really good example of something that we're doing around that security aware sort of comms, in that, you know, some of the things that I've talked about, deliberately we've chosen to talk about them so that there's messaging out there for anybody who might be thinking
peek behind the curtain too much.
might be thinking about trying to attack us around, you know, they've got that bit of technology that might make your life a little bit more difficult. Or when we do videos from our sites, we do sort of the science behind type videos, which are for general public consumption of, you know, what goes into producing water and all sorts of stuff like that. We'll kind of make sure that we've got various, you know, it accidentally captures a security camera in the background, or it accidentally shows the lock-in or super secure type door. So we kind of build that in, and we also do regular comms and sessions with the exec around security-minded comms, and we help them with their OSINT, operational intelligence type stuff, looking at what their footprint is on the internet, helping them curate that if there's perhaps information out there about them that you might not want. So that it is something that they are very aware of. And we try and get kind of the workforce kind of involved. There will always be the odd slip up, but usually we pick that up with the monitoring that we have on the likes of LinkedIn, for example. People, you know, leave or start and they want to put a photo of their ID badge on. No. So usually we'll get in touch with them and ask them very politely if they would mind taking it off, because it's a bit of a security risk.
This is the thing, you can put so much money into all these fancy unicorn, Gen AI, all this lovely marketed stuff that's terrific. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot out there. It's also absolutely must and very good as well. But security and people will always be an attack vector. And yes, security awareness is getting better, but people are still... We're kind of developing slowly with it. You know, technology's gone in the past sort of what 5 years. People are still trying to catch up. It's like, what's this AI? What's Gen AI? What's quantum cryptography? Like, keep up. So we will always still make mistakes. Not saying that we are. I've used this term in the past and I didn't like using it. What did I say? It was something like the cause and the cure of security. I think that's too strict on people, and I think that's too harsh.
I completely agree. So kind of we have a very diverse workforce in that you've got people like myself, my team, that are based in an office, literally sat working at a computer all day, every day. Right the way through to some of our field techs who perhaps receive their job information on an iPad or via the phone.
Yes.
They'll go out, very rarely interact with sort of emails and things,
Yes.
but they're equally as susceptible to receiving a phishing email as somebody who's, trained because they're just, doing it all the time.
Yeah.
And we try and tailor our internal training and security awareness comms so that hopefully it means something to everybody.
Yes.
And then the other thing that we do is, if when somebody does click the dodgy link in an email, we treat them as a victim. We don't kind of throw the book at them, because ultimately they've been conned into doing something that they wouldn't normally have done. Nobody, we come from the place that nobody would actively want to try and cause us an issue by deliberately clicking a phishing link in an email, unless they were absolutely that way inclined, by accident. So we treat them as victims. We offer, a bit of training, can be one-on-one coaching sometimes, if there's been a few instances where they have interacted with dodgy links in phishing emails. But that's kind of our approach to it.
From because you're sort of managing three or four different sort of sub verticals of security, how, I'm trying to think, because obviously it's very clear that you try and get ahead of everything, like you say there with the security awareness piece, but the security awareness piece sometimes, yes, it's both preemptive and reactive is security awareness, but let's just focus on the preemptive stuff for this second. Your sort of approach towards threat intelligence, how, obviously on a cyber front point, I completely understand it. There's like you say, it's a lot of sort of, you kind of look at deep dark web, you can kind of look at your brand monitoring, whatever it might be. But with the physical stuff, how do you go about incorporating threat intelligence into that, and in terms of the physical cyber stuff as well, that blurred line? Because I'm guessing like a tool can't just do that, and a lot of it is processes of how you work. So threat intelligence, how are you sort of adapting that? Yeah,
so obviously from a sort of cyber perspective, it's probably more commonly known, there's various threat intel services which will, monitor IP ranges, your brand domains, various dark web forums and Telegram chats for, Yorkshire water chatter. There's actually quite a lot of parallels between that from a cyber perspective and also what goes on in the physical world as well. Cool. It's just potentially different.
Do you have to put more human analysis on it or something?
No, not necessarily. So kind of there are organisations out there that will provide you with sort of more physical type threat intelligence. So we use Smartwater at a lot of our sites.
All right, okay,
And the company behind Smartwater do an awful lot in the sort of physical security intelligence space. So they monitor trends, look at different types of, what's become the latest type of attack. When people are stealing cable, how do they tend to go about doing it? Kind of the methods, or TTPs as we would previously know, it's almost exactly the same. So they sort of are telling us about that kind of thing. And then we do also monitor various groups as well that might be interested in, either attacking us or demonstrating against us as well, which, goes into our thinking from a physical security perspective.
Practicality then, like in terms of actually being able to integrate it. I know you've kind of mentioned you've got your three different teams and you try and get together and have a mop up and be like, okay, you report back to me what you find on your side, and then what is it? Are you just trying to blend them all into one sort of business case, so that then, where I'm going with this is that how do you then, I'm perceiving you as sat in this could be in this room, and you're collating these three different work streams, and you're like, okay, this is where we're at in terms of security. How do you then regurgitate this and then get it back out to the wider company in terms of like, this is what's going on in security, guys. I need you to, you are what's driving this. You are the people of this organisation. We can do our job in terms of protecting it, but it's down to you guys. How do you regurgitate what is already complex to us that's working in security to people that don't have a clue about security?
Yeah, so first of all is try not to talk to people in security
Okay,
mumbo
yeah,
jumbo. It is absolutely critical.
Yep.
We always start with why and then the what.
Okay.
So talking to people about why the security is important, like, you know, the measures that we've got on this site, for example, might think it's overkill, but actually we're protecting critical national infrastructure. We've got our regional control room on site here, for example.
Yeah.
So, you know, we want to control who's got access to that. And we've also got data centres on site here as well. So again, we need to make sure that we're controlling access to that. So start with why it's important, and then we can get into the what.
Yes.
And across the kind of all of the disciplines, we've got a security by design principle.
No.
So if we can build security in at the start, whether it's at a new IT system or new operational technology system at a site, or we're building a new water treatment facility, for example, if we can design the security in at that stage, it's kind of already built in, and we kind of don't need to be that involved with it. So what we have here, and lots of organisations that have got sort of engineering capability will be familiar with this, is we have something called the engineering specification, or EngSpec.
Okay.
And that basically says, if you are doing this, this is what you should build in. So we've built in physical security into that engineering specification. We've built in cyber physical security, so operational technology security, into that engineering spec. That basically says, if you are building this, this is how you should build it. We've of course got an exceptions process around that. So if you need to do something different that veers away from that kind of rubber stamped approach, then you can engage with my team and we'll help you design the security in upfront. And then we also have the same from a technology perspective, which is built into the various design authority and the systems development lifecycle, which tries to make sure that before we start, we are thinking about how we're going to secure this, because whichever discipline you're looking at, building the security in afterwards is usually a very expensive way of doing it, and potentially slows the delivery down.
So obviously, secure by design, it's been a philosophy, a way of working for a good few years now, and I've seen a lot of CISOs and CTOs have a good argument about it. Do you guys have the buy-in already? Because a lot of it comes down to the buy-in of the board in terms of like a secure by design methodology. Do you guys have that here, or are you still sort of fighting tooth and nail in the boardroom?
So very short answer is the board and the exec are very much on board with what we're doing. That potentially is helped because we are regulated from a security perspective. So the physical security comes under the Security and Emergency Measures Direction, SEMD. And the cyber and cyber physical security comes under the Network Information Systems Direction, or NIS. And that will then morph into the Cyber Security Resilience Bill, which will then enhance the NIS regulation. So kind of I've got that to fall back on, but don't have to wheel that one out anymore. Because both the exec and the board are really supportive and understand why we need to make sure stuff is secured, because our business is getting water to people and then returning that water to the environment. That is what we do as a business. And security, making sure that that is done securely is really important.
And I think that really, as we draw this to a conclusion, Matt, that's really tied in quite nicely to relating security to that business strategy, and then what you were mentioning at the start in terms of that prioritisation matrix. I've pretty much just got one last question for you, and it is a little bit, it's a bit of a negative one, but it's okay. We've had a very good chat. What's been some of the biggest headaches in terms of, remind me, how long have you been at Yorkshire Water now?
So I've been here 5.5, nearly 6 years,
Okay.
getting on for 6 years, I think.
So what's been some of the biggest headaches? Because like I say, you're pretty well entrenched now. You've kind of got it to a state, you're never going to be fully happy in terms of security. Like say, you're planning for 5 years beyond now, so you're constantly like, what have I got to do next?
Yeah.
But what's been some of your biggest headaches in trying to merge these three things?
So I think, I'm not necessarily sure headache. I think the cyber physical, so all of the operational technology security,
Yes.
up until probably the last 3 or 4 years, that has been mainly security through obscurity.
Okay.
So nobody really knows about it. It's tucked away in a cupboard somewhere, and it hasn't been a particularly attractive target because it's quite difficult to get to.
Yep.
But what we've seen through Ukraine and various other conflicts are actually, if you can target that, that is basically cuts production off at the knees.
Yes.
And can have a much bigger impact more quickly. So it's kind of come out of the dark and is very firmly in the spotlight now.
Yes.
And the maturity of various tools and things hasn't been there. And then I think the other thing is that a lot of the operational technology that we have is, and this isn't just us at Yorkshire Water or as a water industry, this is kind of across the board, a lot of it is quite old.
Okay. Yep.
As in 20 odd years plus old.
Yep.
Because you put it in, it works, and you try not to touch it.
Yeah.
So now we're having to look at how do we secure something like that.
Yes.
So that's potentially quite challenging.
Yes.
And then the other challenge that we've got is there's a lot of convergence between the operational technology world and the cybersecurity world. And stuff that was previously like a pump, for example, would have just been a dumb lump of metal with a relay that switched it on or off. Now we're finding that they're being shipped with 4G SIM or a RJ45 socket on it so that you can plug it into the network.
Yep.
Because you can get a whole load of useful telemetry out of it, which will help you then maintain that pump better,
make
for
it more
example.
efficient and this and that,
But something that would never have required a connection quite low down in the operational technology network stack.
Yep.
We're trying to have to work out how securely we can get the business benefit from better monitoring of that so that we can better maintain it, whilst not having a security impact. We've now potentially got a backdoor into our operational technology network.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're, not just us, but kind of we're wrestling with how we do that securely.
Yes.
That's probably one of the bigger challenges.
Yes.
And then I think it's just that always trying to stay, I'll never say one step ahead of the bad guys because you just never know where they're going to go next. But it's how do we stay one step behind and then rapidly pivot when they've come up with some new fantastic way of whacking you.
Yep.
And it's kind of making sure that our maturity program is focused in the right area on the right things with the right level of investment for us as a business.
Nice. Fantastic. Matt, I've really enjoyed today. I've really enjoyed it. So if anybody's got any questions for what Matt raised today or would like to get involved in the comments, please do. But once again, Matt, thank you very much for coming on the Security
Pleasure.
Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.